And welcome into another episode of the CAI Report. I'm Mike Livingston. I'm the current president of the CAI here in the Coachella Valley, and I'm also the Director of Management with Personalized Property Management. Today with us we have Lee Weigel with Guardsmark Security. And Lee, thank you for joining us today. It's good to have you with us. This is going to be a great show. Lee, what is your position with Guardsmark? You're brand new to the company, and we're glad to have you in. Tell us about yourself.
Well, basically about myself, I'm retired from the Palm Springs Police Department. I retired about 4 years ago. I was the chief of police at the time that I retired. Spent 32 years on the police department and enjoyed every minute of it. Retired because it was time to do that, and decided that I was going to do some consulting and do some other things. So I did some interim jobs in Desert Hot Springs and Banning during my retirement. Then decided I'd kind of like to go back to work, and applied for a job as an executive manager in the desert. I actually didn't know what I was applying for at the time. It was a blind ad. It turned out that ad was for Guardsmark, and I ended up going to work for them. They are the fourth largest security company, and I'm very happy to be employed by them right now.
Good. And what is it you're doing here with them right now in the Valley as it relates to what we talk about here in gated communities?
Well, obviously we're doing guard services, and we're doing security for those gated communities. Very, very important facet of living and safety in the desert. I am obviously, having retired out of law enforcement, am a big believer in security and secure neighborhoods and secure folks in what they do and how they live. So, needless to say, I'm happy to be doing that.
This is cheap because I moved here in 1973 with my family, and I remember Lee driving around in his tan uniform forever. He knew my parents since I was yay big, and so I've known him forever. So to have him sitting next to me on our show in a different capacity than the white car with the red and blue lights outside is a little bit different for me, but I sure am glad to have you now in our chapter in CAI and to have the chance to be working with you in our gated communities, and I know you're going to be an asset. Part of what Guardsmark and all the other security companies do here in town and do with us here in the CAI and the gated communities is deal with another group that they call RCSA, which is Resort Community Security Association. And what that does is it is an independent group, but they work hand in hand with all the management companies and a lot of the larger clubs and gated communities to provide I don't want to use the word task force per se, but it is kind of an offshoot group that deals with security issues specifically in the larger communities. As our community here in the Coachella Valley grows, exponentially I might add, as you might imagine, we have more and more people moving to the Valley every day. And with the advent of growth and construction and more people coming to the Valley, security becomes an issue in these places, and they are always looking for ways to improve security, share information with these different clubs and these different gated communities, between people, experts like yourself, and people like myself who are not experts but want to become experts and know a little bit more to help protect our homeowners that live behind the gates. Tell us a little bit about that and what your role is there, and what we as managers and our homeowners that are watching the program maybe don't know about that group, and what is really going on behind the scenes there to help protect them.
Well, hopefully your security company, whoever that might be, it is used as a consultant for you. Their role should be to help you provide safety and security for your community, whatever that community might be, whether it's a gated community or a bigger community. As we did in law enforcement, we wanted to make sure that the community was involved in making sure that we provided the service that they needed to feel safe and secure. you should look at your security company the same way. You should make sure that that company is providing you the service that you need and providing you the value that you need. In other words, you should be forming committees in a gated community, and you should be talking about safety and security, and you should involve your security company in that so that everybody is on the same sheet of music in terms of getting the service that you desire. Certainly that's what I would expect if I was living in a gated community, and certainly that's what I would expect as a manager of a security company in providing a service for the community.
I think in a lot of cases, when you're talking about some of the smaller communities per se, they don't have security per se. In a lot of the smaller ones, maybe roving patrol or what have you, and those are the ones where if you're going to go out and look for again, roving patrol or consultant type services, the smaller communities are the ones, maybe even more so than the larger ones, which we'll get to in a minute, that really need to, in my opinion, focus on even more of a grassroots kind of volunteer-based security group, committee, what have you. You know, Lee, in a lot of cases, I think the larger communities, the Rancho La Quintas or the Chaparrals or the Rancho Las Palmas, the larger 600, 800 Mission Hills type properties that have guardhouses in multiple locations that are staffed with on-site security. Those are one entities, but in most cases, maybe tenfold, there are communities that are of a much smaller size that don't have on-site security. In many cases, perhaps roving security or what have you. But I would think that, and those are a lot more the portfolio managers like myself would handle a lot more like that. I would think that it would be much more important from a grassroots point of view to have a hands-on effort from the members themselves in those communities. We have much more to talk about with Lee Weigel from Guardsmark Security when we come back on the CAI Report. Stay with us.
CAI Report is brought to you by Bright and Clean Windows. Trust Southern California's favorite window cleaning company to provide consistent, quality window cleaning service to your home and office. Let Bright and Clean Windows make you look great by removing hard water stains from windows and shower door enclosures and by cleaning windows and mirrors to a gleaming shine. Call 346-9274. High-rise living in the desert. Located at the corner of Frank Sinatra and Bob Hope Drives is the Desert Island Condominium Community. 226 luxury homes within 3 buildings on an island surrounded by a 25-acre lake. Come find out why high-rise living is so enjoyable. Call 760-324-1871.
Hey Tim, what's this I hear about your sponsorship with CAI doing so well?
My sponsorship in the television show?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's one of the best things I've done for the CAI, besides being a volunteer, that is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So is it helping you?
Well, it's helping me and it's helping my bottom line. I'm getting customers, I'm making money.
What a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And you can have that opportunity too. Give a call to the CAI office so you can be a sponsor on our CAI report. The telephone number is 760-341-0559. Hello, Stephen Shuey here. I want to interrupt this program for just a minute before we go back to our regular show and talk to you, boards of directors members, just for a brief few minutes about something very important to you, and that is the hiring of licensed and insured contractors. It's extremely important when you're working in a homeowners association that all of the people who come to work on your property for the association are licensed and insured. You know, you can save money in some places in the budget, but you don't want to save money when it comes to a choice between one contractor or another. One's licensed, one's not, or one's insured and one's not. You really need to have licensed and insured contractors. The saving of a few dollars is not going to be worth it in the long run. Those people who have saved money because the party wasn't a licensed contractor have found that they end up with a job that's not quite satisfactory. It looks beautiful when it's first finished, but it doesn't last near as long as that job that might have cost a few more dollars and been done by a licensed contractor. The same thing applies to insured contractors. Wouldn't it be awful if somebody you hired, say, to do tree trimming had fallen out of a tree and hurt themselves badly, and you come to find out they didn't have proper insurance? The association ends up paying for a long time to come. It's critically important. always hire licensed and insured contractors. Thank you. Now back to our show.
Welcome back in. Mike Livingston and you on the CAI Report. Today with us we have Lee Weigel with Guardsmark Security. You may recognize him. He's the former chief of police for Palm Springs for many, many years. Today we're talking about security in gated communities, and one of the things I wanted to talk about, Lee, here in the Coachella Valley we have so many different scale and size of gated communities. What we usually see in size with gated communities as far as on-site security, you have the larger communities like Rancho La Quinta and Mission Hills, and the larger ones like that may have on-site security as an operation. Gatehouses and on-site security at multiple locations. But they're maybe tenfold. We have many more of a smaller size that don't have on-site security or the operation for such, where you're staffed on-site or what have you. Maybe roving patrol, but maybe not even that. Those that are of a smaller nature, that are managed by what we call portfolio managers like myself, it is incumbent upon the members of those communities in a much more grassroots effort, I would think, to provide their own security or to be more involved in the overall on-site overview of their community and helping to police their community. Would that be a fair statement?
Absolutely. I think it is incumbent upon all of us to be responsible for our own security and to get involved in that type of security. And what I mean by that is if you don't have a security company, then form a group of folks to talk about security and partner with your local law enforcement to provide the kind of security that you need. If you have a security company that works for you, then you should be doing the same thing, forming a security group of folks, an advisory group, if you will, that can work with the security company to let them know what your needs are. How are we going to make ourselves more secure? In addition to that, you need to be aware that security is a priority for most people. Mm-hmm. One of the highest priorities in life is security. So we need to talk about those kinds of things amongst each other. We need to keep our eyes open. We need to watch for suspicious activity. We need to take responsibility for that ourselves, for securing ourselves and our community, and help, if you will, provide security for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Okay, easy to talk about, but how do we do that? I know there are a couple of different ways in doing that, but when we say partner with law enforcement, one of the things, because I also served as a board member on my board of directors where I live, we are not a gated community. In some areas of that community it appears to be gated or have natural barriers, but it certainly is not. One of the things we did is form a neighborhood watch committee, and we did meet with the Palm Springs Police, coincidentally, and we found that to be a tremendous help because even doing this for the 16 years I did, I actually learned a few things, and not to be a know-it-all, but I thought that having done this before, I thought I knew many things that could help, which I did, but there were a couple other things that I didn't. How would you go about doing things like that?
Well, that's exactly what I would suggest is if you're a community member and you don't have security in your company or in your neighborhood or in your gated community, then you form a neighborhood watch group, and you can call any of the local law enforcement agencies and they can help you set up that group. If you are a member of a gated community that has a board of directors, then you can approach the board of directors and you can work with them on setting up a security committee within that gated community. And you can work with both your security people and local law enforcement. Certainly, if someone in a gated community asked me to involve local law enforcement in my security efforts, I would do that. Mm-hmm. I would call local law enforcement and I would try to have them come to some meetings too, so we could talk about the needs in that area as well as just the needs for security. In some cases, gated communities only want access control. They just want to make sure the right people are coming in the community and that the wrong people don't get in. In others, they're more concerned and they involve more security efforts, patrol efforts, along with access control and alarms and all of those kinds of things. And all of those are possible, you know, but if you're not communicating with your security company, and if you're not communicating with law enforcement, you're not going to accomplish any of that.
I also found, both as a manager and as the president of my board when I did this, that we achieved a lot more when we got more people involved. And I don't mean more people on the committee, just letting the homeowners in general know what it was we were doing. Hey, we're having a general meeting tonight with a few members of the Palm Springs Police. Hey, this is what we garnered from that meeting. These are some of the bullet points that you can do to help yourself. These are some of the things that we found we were lacking around the community. We're going to add a couple of lights here. We're going to try to lock the clubhouse at these hours. You know, just little things that make common sense, but at the same time, I don't think the general public took the time to think about. Once you put it in their mind, then all of a sudden 128 sets of eyes were looking, rather than just, you know, the people that would show up at the meetings.
That's exactly right. And it's all about education, it's all about communication. And as long as we're talking about it and we're thinking about it, then we're probably acting. If we're just thinking about it and we never involve anybody else, we're probably not acting. A proactive approach to security is the best approach to security.
Okay, I want to come back to that point when we come back from our break. Stay with us. I'm Mike Livingston. Our guest today is Lee Weigel from Guardsmark Security. We're going to be back with you on the CAI Report. Stay with us.
Diamond Fusion, a patented award-winning technology that transforms ordinary shower glass and porcelain into low-maintenance surfaces, used by manufacturers like DuPont and by homeowners and resorts to maintain a clean image and save money while making life easier by making cleaning easier. Call 773-2825.
Hey Tim, what's this I hear about your sponsorship with CAI doing so well?
My sponsorship in the television show?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's one of the best things I've done for the CAI, besides being a volunteer, that is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So is it helping you?
Well, it's helping me and it's helping my bottom line. I'm getting customers and making money.
What a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And you can have that opportunity too. Give a call to the CAI office so you can be a sponsor on our CAI report. The telephone number is 760-341-0559.
Communication is the key to successful homeowner association management. BestHOA.com specializes in creating websites that serve as the ultimate in communication tools. Taking advantage of technology to help association managers and board members efficiently and promptly deliver information is what BestHOA.com does best. Call BestHOA.com.
Whoa, check out the action on the net.
No, Oscar, stay away from the net.
Not net, internet.
Wow, it's so fast.
That's because it's Roadrunner high-speed internet service. It blows everything else away.
Hello, what's that?
All right, he's looking for another fish.
Oh, quick buy, quick buy.
So, you're from eBay.
Is that anywhere near Chesapeake Bay?
Hello, I'm Stephen Shuey. I want to talk to you just for a few moments about the budget process. You know, if you're on the board of directors for your homeowners association, setting that budget's a pretty critical thing, I know. It's a kind of a fine line between making the budget right for your homeowners who never want to see increases and having a budget that's set correctly so you can afford to get the jobs done you need to have done. My recommendation is set the budget correctly for the jobs you want to have done. Your homeowners will be happy. They may groan a little bit at the first sight of an increase, but in the long run, you need to have increases to keep up with the cost of living. Do what's right.
And we're back on the CAI Report. Mike Livingston and you. Today with us, we have Lee Weigel with Guardsmark Security. We are talking about security in gated communities and common interest development. Lee is with Guardsmark Security, and you probably recognize him as the former Chief of Police of Palm Springs for many, many years. Lee, again, we are thrilled to have you with us.
Keep saying many, many years.
Many, many years. Everyone that's lived here in the Valley knows you, and like I said, I grew up here, so you were a staple to me. Always driving around our neighborhoods and what have you, and a very familiar face. And again, like I said, we are thrilled to have you as a member of our chapter here in
Happy
CAI.
to be here.
We are talking about security in gated communities and common interest developments, and it's one of the things that you pointed out earlier in the show. Inherent to our lives, whether it's in gated communities or whatever, is the importance of security. And I don't think that that's something that can be understated, in as much as people worry about themselves. Are they going to be safe?
Absolutely.
And it is also something that I think sometimes, not unlike other things that we talk about on the show, a lot of times people put too much on their boards of directors or their communities, thinking, oh, well, they'll take care of that. And this is one of the things that I think you were leading to, that we all have to police ourselves, and we all have to watch out for ourselves, but at the same time, how do we formulate that plan? And one of the things we talked about before the break was making sure that we have a cognizant reality around us as far as what can we do to help ourselves. And in this case, we talked about forming neighborhood watches, and you were saying that all of the local law enforcements would be happy to come out and meet with communities and give them helpful hints on these.
I think you could call any law enforcement agency in the Valley, and they'd be happy to help you set up a neighborhood watch group or a block captain's program, which is what they're also called. You know, I think it goes almost without saying that if we don't let people know what we want in terms of safety and security, that we won't get it.
Right.
So one of the priorities for everybody should be to make sure that they let their, whether it's a gated community with a security department or a gated community without security that relies on local law enforcement, to somehow communicate with those folks what's needed. I also believe that whatever your security department or law enforcement agency may be, that you should ask for specifics, and that company should be able to provide, I think you referred to it as customized security. And I think that's very important, because we won't get it if we don't ask. So we should ask.
I think you're hitting on a good point, but a broad one. When you say that, you're talking about not just neighborhood watch. Let's say we're talking about one of the big clubs and whatnot. Security is a broad service, because your company or any of the companies, for example, can provide a multitude of different services, whether it's roving patrol, whether it's different types of entry, or how you want entry, what you're looking for. I mean, different clubs are looking for different things, are they not?
Absolutely. All of them are. And I think it's, well, part of my job to discover what a particular client would want in terms of security, so that I can provide the service that they want. So I would be soliciting that. In some cases, maybe the solicitation is from the past. You know, maybe it's something that has been happening for such a long period of time that people don't talk about it anymore. So you have to kind of renew the subject, and you have to talk about it, and you have to make sure that you're getting what you want. You're referring to kind of value-added services that can be provided by security companies. You know, yes, they should be making sure that you're getting what you need in your community.
And is that, I mean, you could cross over not just from checking in the appropriate vendors, but all the way down to roving patrol and the assistance in the participation of, to an extent, rules enforcement, people leaving their garage doors open. things like that, which actually is as much participation in rules enforcement as it is an actual assistance to that person, where maybe you've had a history in that community of people being burglarized out of their garage, and you're actually helping them to remind them to keep that garage door closed.
And we do that. You know, in some communities we go around and we tell folks, your garage door is open. In others, we not only provide a patrol service, but we provide an enforcement service, a speed control service, and certainly parking control services, and access control, which is most of the gated communities want some kind of access control. So there are a lot of services that you can be providing. You just need to know that that's what the community wants.
Okay, we have a very short amount of time left here, and I know we could talk for quite a bit. In a nutshell, what is the one thing quickly that we can tell our people, or what is the one thing going on out there right now that we could remind people to watch out for, that you see as a trend right now that's going on?
You know, it's summertime. There are a lot of absentee residents, and I would say that the biggest thing that you need to watch for right now are kind of people in vehicles that are out of place, that should not, or you feel should not be there, and suspicious activity like that. Because the summertime, when there are a lot of absentee residents, we have a lot of burglaries, we have a lot of thefts in the valley, and you can watch out for those very easily. People get this feeling that something is out of place, and that particular car or person doesn't really look like they belong here. Well, your gut's telling you something, and it's probably right. That person doesn't belong there, and they need to, at very minimal, you know, take license numbers, and if necessary, call the local law enforcement or your security folks, and let them know that something's happening that doesn't feel right to you.
Something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Lee Weigel, Cards Mark Security, pleasure as always. I'd like to have you back on the show sometime.
You bet.
We're just flat out of time. Mike Livingston with the CAI Report. Watch us next time. We're on pretty much every night. We look forward to having you with us again.